Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Black Lights, we take a look at this. And what this is from Earthquake Spices, it is Biohazard. And I presume this is just a typo and they meant this to be Biohazard, because Biohazard is not really a word. Or they inserted another letter to make it match the consume at your own risk part. I don't know. I'm going to assume it's supposed to be Biohazard, but typos are entertaining. We like typos. And oh, here we go again. An Earthquake classic. An all around the table hit to consume at your own risk. This hot sauce is seriously great on everything. Okay. I don't think we're in agreement on that. I don't think that me and this label are a one-to-one on that. I don't think that's the case. Okay, so we've got the seismic. So seismic, of course, refers to tremors, hence the earthquake. Heat is not generally a part of that. It's measuring basically waves. We have a catastrophic, which is a nuclear bomb. We have, let's see, what else is on here? I think I saw this on their, on the other one as well. The other sauce I did from them. We have, earthquake and the seismic event. Seismic event has nothing to do with heat. Unless you happen to have like magma surfacing, but that's different than the actual seismic itself. There's plenty of times there is seismic activity with no sort of heat that would make sense as far as this goes attached to it. And like I get the idea of what they're trying to do. It just really doesn't make sense for how those words work. Like you wouldn't really, like those things are not things that you would combine. I mean, you might have some heat from friction, but again, that's a byproduct. It's not necessarily the actual seismic wave itself. All right, so we have apple cider vinegar. We have raspberries, which is misspelled also, blackberries, reaper peppers, salt, and spices. So you can see how incredibly loose this is. This is an extremely watery sauce. And the joke was always, for a long time amongst chili heads, and maybe still is, that Tabasco was basically chili flavored vinegar. And in some respects, like this is again sort of along that motif. This is very prone to separation. Very, very, very prone to separation. So if you're going to get that, know that going in. You can see here just how runny it is. It's an extremely odd sauce. Like, I don't quite know what to make of this one. there is salt in it, so it's not just a sort of berry and reaper flavored vinegar, but honestly, I don't know that's super far away from that. It is very, very, very loose. And I think if you're going to say, put this sauce in everything, part of that, to me anyway, needs to be with consistency. Like, would you pour water all over everything that you want to eat? Probably not. And that's kind of where, you know, a lot of the table sauces tend to be a little bit thicker. They tend to have a little bit more body to them for that reason, so that they'll stay in place. And they also tend to be much, much, much lower in heat. I wouldn't say, so this one is calling it a catastrophic level of heat. I wouldn't say it's quite that hot. It is definitely much hotter than their other sauce, which I forget the name of now. But the other part of this is, it goes back to my pretty direct preferences. So I'm just going to let you see this. You can observe the sort of, I guess, brownish tones of this while I yap. But I feel like when you're going to have a fruit sauce, when you're having fruit in the sauces, in this case, misspelled raspberries for your Biohazard, and blackberries, I feel like those need to be way more forward, and this needs to be a sweeter sauce. So it's really odd to me, because there are certainly, you know, there's pear flavored vinegar, or there's pear vinegars out there and so on. There are different fruit vinegars floating around in the world, and that's fine. Like, I don't really have an issue with that, but I don't anticipate those being sweet either. Obviously, like, looking at the ingredient panel, I could probably have guessed that this wasn't going to be super sweet, but I mean, you never know. Yeah, I always have hope. But this is just so very, very runny. To me, the consistency, there's a lot of things working against this being an everyday use it on everything sauce. But I think in the right application, there's definitely places for this, to be sure. Let's get into the heart of it, as it were. Or maybe I should say get into the epicenter. Would that be better? We'll keep with the theme. Get into the epicenter of things. So we have salty, we have vinegar, actually much more salty than, I haven't tried it by itself yet. It reads a lot more salty than I would have thought. There's grit in there from the raspberries, or possibly the blackberries. The color, I would guess, is probably sort of an amalgamation between the two of them. And then you have the Reaper isn't super. There is a super hot bitter to it, but the Reaper is not like crazy forward in the flavor. Heat-wise, for sure, but not so much in the flavor. It just kind of puzzles me, I guess. All right, so we got chicken tendies. And of course, I'll show you this plate here in a second. Of course, super runny sauces work really well with fried foods for the most part, but this is not. I don't know if you can see this, but and kind of see it is just not staying on. Like, it's pooling on all of these. Obviously, Louisiana style is one of my favorite sauces. I've said it a million times. I will probably say it a million more. So I'm very familiar with runny sauces. This absolutely needed to come with a restrictor cap, and it doesn't. I don't know why, but it doesn't. It definitely should, though. It is extremely, extremely loose. This is really fascinating. I mean, was this the sauce they envisioned when they started on it? I mean, so right now, in this application, I'm getting a lot of vinegar. A lot of vinegar. And little hints here and there of neither of the fruits separately, but kind of a blend, kind of a berry-ish blend. And some of the reapers poking up here and there. I find it a tad bizarre, maybe more than a tad bizarre, but the thing it reminds me most of is some of the Smoke and Ed or pucker butt sauces I've done. Wherein I felt they needed sauce and didn't have any. So rather than me adding salt to everything, this one does not need more salt. This one's fine, but I wound up using some of those sauces as straight vinegars. Which is 100% what I'm going to do with this. I've still got a little bit left of, I think it's one of the pucker butt ones. I've got a little bit left of that to finish out. And then this will be the sort of hot vinegar. So it's good on, good-ish on this fried chicken. I should say it. It's tolerable in the fried chicken, these tendies, because it can absorb and kind of meld flavors a little bit, but using it outside of that, you can't use it as a straight vinegar for some things. You have to put it in a composite because you need to accommodate the fruit as well as just the vinegar. It is definitely quite punchy. No question about that. They intended to make a... There's no question. They wanted the sauce to be hot. And it does have an appreciable amount of heat to it. I would say this is probably definitely pushing chili head only territory. I like when I get the little bits of fruit. So if I was to say how I would fix this sauce for me, Both the berries will be 1 and 2 ingredients, with vinegar dialed way back. And then before the Reaper pepper, probably, or at least in the vicinity, some sugar. And that's kind of where I'm going to use it when you make, you make a dressing for certain salads, like macaroni salad, like a pasta salad, or what have you, coleslaw, whatever. You need a little sugar in there with the vinegar. And I'm really curious with that. I think this will work really nicely with that addition. This is very much not being marketed as a fruit and pepper flavored vinegar. It is being marketed as a hot sauce. And for me, on a number of levels, it kind of fails in that department. But the same was the case for those pucker butts and smoking heads. I feel like if you're going to make a hot sauce, it's kind of a condiment that needs to stand alone with whatever you're adding it to. This one, I just don't feel like it does that. It's too runny, like I showed you, and it is predominantly vinegar and salt, and the other components, particularly the fruit, is just lost a lot of the time. It is super nice when you get some of the fruit bits, though. I think berries are I've done a number of berry hot sauce. I think berries are phenomenal to have in a hot sauce. So I think the concept isn't too far off. It just needs to be way more tuned. It needs to just have a lot more refinement. That is, I think, the thing that this really would benefit from. But as it is, flavor-wise, just as it is here, I mean, you can read the written review for all that stuff. It very much is not what I was hoping for, I guess. And I will still find use for it. It definitely would be decent, I think, as a tolerance builder. But I don't know that you're buying... yeah, and this is somewhat of an expensive one. I don't know that you're buying this sauce to do that, per se, really like that. Certainly there are worse ways of doing it, but for me, just as a hot sauce, I think it kind of falls down a little bit. And we'll just leave it right there. So that was the Earthquake Spices Biohazard, or Biohazard, I'm not sure which, hot sauce. Number 4. In peace, to serve the flame.